1954 CBS 205 Roundy color television. I picked this up at an estate sale for a fellow collector. He actually found it online and asked if I would go pick it up and check the estate sale out. The estate sale was a longtime television repairman's collection, and the guy was probably one of the more OCD situations I've ever seen. It really looked like every single television he scrapped out during his career, he would disassemble and part out and put every single part in storage in a separate compartment, like every capacitor, every screw, every resistor, every tube socket. He would break the TV down almost back into its original form and file it away, and it was pretty much all for sale. At the end of this video will be video clips of the estate sale, and it was a bit of a bittersweet situation. You'll see why. Every television he had for sale that was still complete, he had recapped it with all premium used capacitors, like the premium Zenith kind of maroon tubular film foil capacitors. And I'm curious to open this up and see. We're probably not going to power this up because, like I say, it's not mine. I just picked it up. But we'll test the CRT, and I'm curious to take a look at the chassis, and we'll see if this has, in fact, been recapped. It very possibly could be. My experience is that CBS really built beautiful stuff, and just the very finest quality. There is no shortcuts with this stuff. This thing is extremely heavy. It's probably one of the heaviest single sets I've ever moved. I would put it in competition with the CT100 and even a big full-size combo. This thing's got to be 300 to 400 pounds, something like that. The yoke is disintegrating. I don't think I've ever seen that on a color set. It seems like every 50s black and white set that's happening, pretty much. But I guess the rear cup thing is here. You can see what I mean by quality. Here's the This one uses a 21AXP22. This thing is just insane. And then we have another chassis down here. Wow, two 6x9s. Look at that transformer. That's gotta be a 600 watt transformer. What's this thing rated at? 5 amp. Looks like it. What tubes is it using for horizontal output? 6 BQs. What are those? 6 AU4, 6 CU6. So there's 6 CU6s. Wow, that's interesting. It uses 2 of them. Those are black and white horizontal output tubes. Look at the selenium rectifiers in that cage. This thing is just massive. This is like an industrial Roundy. Wonder what this is for right here. Does that turn it off when you close the doors? Look at the ground strap. is not connected. What I'd really like to do is it does not look like he recapped this one. There were a bunch of 7-inch electrostatic sets there, and they had all been recapped. Oh, maybe he did. See the orange drop right there? And he used the J-hook method. It's one of those white, those Japanese oil capacitors that like to short. Now, it does look like he worked on this, but not a full recap. This one does not look like it's been fully recapped. Yeah, sorry if that's blurry. I didn't bring a 12 millimeter thing to take these big bolts out that hold this chassis. Wonder if we can get underneath this one. It doesn't look like I can. What's this say? 6BQ6 cathode current test. Oh, interesting. So there's your cathode current test. Was that a big can dome resistor there? Wow. This is all new to me. This is sort of one of them rare premium sets. Let's test the CRT. A little side note, I'm trying to reply to a comment on last week's video about KNX going off the air because I guess 880 in New York City is going off the air, which is basically the KNX of New York City. They're changing it to ESPN. And I had talked in the previous videos about George Soros, the Open Society deal, taking majority stake in Odyssey, which owns all these radio stations, and I'm not 100% sure that's what's going on, but I would bet that, you know, we're going to see some big changes, which is sad. They're taking off anyway. And it's gotten to the point where I can't even reply to comments. It just says there's an internal server error if it doesn't like whatever I wrote. But, you know, I mean, it's to be expected. We're in the middle of a marketing campaign this time, not a presidential campaign. I wonder if that's the year right there. Let me get the CRT tester. So I believe the one they're taking out in New York is WCBS. KCBS is out of the Bay Area, and it's a huge one, and it's very popular like KNX. And KNX is the Los Angeles version. The format is all the same. You know, one has traffic on the 8s, one has traffic on the 9s, one has traffic on the 10s. The format anyway. Enough ranting about that, but there were several questions and emails and stuff from people about that happening. So it's sort of to be expected when you have a person with a deep agenda that's not the best for anybody but what they want, take control of something. Ooh, we have cutoff here. This one, the cups look okay in this tube. They're not all baked. They're not all blue. I guess the early runs of this, the early version of this came with a different CRT. Let me see. I'll tell you what it is here. Originally manufactured with the CBS 19 VP22, which was upgraded to the 21AX towards the end of the production run. So there you go. We got either this has been replaced or it's towards the end of the production run. So we're coming up here. So let's bring these down to one small notch. Okay. This thing's going to work okay. This is an okay tube. I'm used to this tester, and this tester is super critical. You know, when they're almost into the green, it'll produce a usable image. And it hasn't baked. It's just been sort of just fired up. You know, I haven't let it sit and run. So I think we're going to be okay here. I think we got a usable tube. I'm not going to power it up. It's not my set. Seems like every TV guy has their own way of powering things up that they feel comfortable with, and you got to respect that. So look at this thing. It's just insane. See, they are coming up into the green now. I'm gonna put it back on setup, and we'll let it sit for a few minutes. Don't want to leave it on test and walk away. That'll just burn the guns up. So this is after sitting for a few minutes. So the CRT is in excellent condition. I believe this is a metal cone CRT. That's why it's got this plastic condom over it, because the whole, when it's running, the whole entire thing is energized. I wonder why they painted it gold. What's up with that? The whole metal bell is hot. That's why it's got this big plastic condom around it to insulate it. You can see where the high voltage lead goes in down there. It's that's interesting. It looked like they had that grounded. Looks like they had that paint grounded, but that, just because the paint's gold doesn't mean it's conductive. You need to buy that special graphite, conductive graphite paint. That's interesting. The early color guys, early color gurus would know a lot more about this than I would. Also, I believe this uses a different phosphor. This 21AXP uses a different phosphor. It's not as bright, but the colors are a lot more true. It uses, instead of the rare earth europium, it uses a like an oxide of some type. I forget, but these are the ones that have the real dark red, where the later ones were more of a brighter, lighter, orangish type red. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm more into about 1965 and up. This is a little bit of the early color guys are into these. But I do really appreciate the quality. Look at all this. Look at this. No plastic to rot here and fall apart. No plastic clover leaf to disintegrate. Just the best. I really want to try and get down in here and see what we can see. Maybe try and go at it like this. Let's see what we can do here. Really? Huh. Yeah, that doesn't really make for great video, does it? Looking at something through a piece of screen wire, it's like watching a Portacolor. Anyway, check out the cabinet. That's to let the heat out. That's the speaker down there. Anyway, there's a quick look at the CBS 205, early 1954 color Roundy television. I guess we could check out the controls real quick. CBS Columbia 360. It's got that lovely avocado-y yellow 1950s thing going on. It's interesting how the speakers fire out the side, and then there's a bunch of adjustments down here. So next will be a bunch of random clips of this estate sale. Some interesting stuff I picked up that you'll see in the following upcoming years, hopefully. Did make it home with this and the Trinitron, of course. Do have the bottom beauty plate here for the CBS. And the back. So it's complete. This thing is complete. And it's got a good tube in it. That's a killer deal. Killer find. Killer score. Whatever words you want to use. Here's just a couple examples of the disassembling and sorting and storing of parts. 1/4-inch chassis screws, all sorted. Now how about this right here? Quarter-watt resistors. Can you imagine sitting and disassembling a circuit board and taking every single 1/4-watt resistor off of it? Little AM radios. This right here, this is some major OCD, Depression era, PTSD damage to do this. Imagine how many hours this would take. But you know what? It is appreciated. I've already used some of this stuff, and I'm just getting started. 6 a.m. on the 405 North. Going to an estate sale. I actually think this is one of the longest days of the year, or close to it. Maybe it was yesterday. Vintage television, a collector in another state asked me if I could go try and acquire. You know, I gotta say the competition for some of this stuff is getting tough. And I'm just not in the mood to try and wheel and deal with these eBay sellers, you know, these flippers. I guarantee you there's already people there waiting, and it doesn't even open until 8. I mean, they make their living off basically buying estate stuff and selling it, which, I mean, I guess if that's what you got to do in this modern era, then that's what you got to do. But I'll try and get some video from inside. That's always a touchy situation. You never know. The electric vehicles are taking over. You can fight it all you want, but they're here. You can say from my cold dead hands all you want, but guess what? They got time on their side, and they will grind you down, and they will get you out of that ice vehicle. Its days are numbered, man. It's kind of a nice out here. Only problem is it gets too damn hot. I mean, if you're gonna live out here, you might as well live in the desert, Nevada or something where it's cheaper. If you're gonna pay the high utility bills for, you know, 100 plus degree summers, you might as well live in Arizona or Nevada.
And first 5, come on in. 1,500 and 300. First 5 only. First 5 only. Please don't sneak in. That's already 5. Yeah. So it's just rolling. It's just this one.
How do they price this stuff? How do they price this stuff?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Little bit of everything.
See anything interesting?
Oh, the TVs are pretty cool.
Oh yeah, those things. Yeah. No, I wouldn't bother.
Do you think it's a bust?
I don't know. So like normal big things. That's it.
A homemade jig. And this is not tube, I don't think. It's like every mica cap in 1 picofarad increments.
We're really the deal on the tray and the pepper shaker.
Okay.
No.
35. Just as is, with all the stuff in it. Advertise. No, it's 50. What about in?
You might have to get that ladder.
What does it do?
You go through one of those? I have a shotgun. We have a full life. That's the price. It's heavy. Where are the needles?
Oh, I got those. That's about the only jazz one.
There's a bunch of stuff, and there's like Nixie tubes in there. I mean, okay,
The hard part is just finding the right person.
Right, right. And the old wallet, look at that. Probably got that there as well. But would you like to go in and look and see what I have?
Yes.
All right. Well,
No.
now,
To Duncan
you
Hines
don't want to
freezer.
work on.
it's not something that I could even get rid of. I just
No,
can't
no.
bear to
Simon's
put
got
things like that away.
66 on the out.
Electricity generates the video signal. You can get a video out, you can get an RF out.
Wow. Here's the old ones. Wow, that would be a challenge to even pick that up. Oh man. Wow, there's just box after box after box. Crates of transformers, power transformers. White gas. Wonder what he had on microfiche. Why, he's even got a light up there for the stuff up there. This is a Jacob's ladder. What one?
This coil.
That's probably the coil for it. That's like a Tesla coil. Oh, you have a predictor.
Yeah. I've never turned it on though.
I've worked on a couple.
One.
New. 200 CDs audio.
Tell us what we're doing here.
Okay, this is an audio generator, but times 10K times 60, this goes to 600 hertz. So I can do IF alignment at 455, and I can check low end AM stations at 600.
You mean it goes to 6 kilohertz, not
600 kilohertz.
600 kilohertz, not 600 hertz.
Goes from 20 hertz to 600 kilohertz.
Okay.
This is audio.
Right.
Normally you would expect this, 20K.
Okay.
But you're really getting 600K out of this.
Right.
So I use it for alignment, low end RF, audio, and I take a tube shield, and I solder the center conductor to the tube shield. I put the tube shield over the tube and inject signal that way.
Right, like doing an IF alignment on TV. A sweep alignment.
Yeah. Well, if I want to sweep it, I got to toggle this, but I can get there.
Right.
We have a couple of Philco's unique cabinets, you know.
And they work.
Absolutely, and this has radio heater, white wall tires. It's got everything that you want.
Oh.
You know, it's got all the features.
Disc brakes.
Disc brakes.
Chassis super clean on that one.
Okay, so
This fit.
Model 8.
Model 8? Which would be
28 to 31.
right. Okay.
There's a bunch of Model 8 parts right now. That's a luggage rack from Model A. These are rear mirrors up for a truck.
Go for KFI.
Citizens said they strongly or somewhat approve Hunter's guilty verdict. 62.
KNX.
Good enough.
If it's a detector, it'll get KNX. Fuck, they busted the jig when they were loading it in the car. Fuck. Pisses me off. Well, this might not have really been that great big of a loss. This looks like a 23 EGP22. See, the high voltage cup is on the left side there. These were that first Motorola CRT that was real crap. I actually have one of these in an Admiral. This was a very, very poor quality, short-lived tube. So, I don't know. I'll have to go through all this stuff sometime and see if this jig is worth fixing. I just liked it because the guy made it and I wanted to save it, but oh well. All right, let me drop my thoughts on this experience. So first of all, I got there 2 hours early. I was the fourth one back in line. Another guy pulled up. All of these people that were waiting in line knew each other. They were all flippers. And the dude that pulled up, the fifth dude, the two guys in front of me were like, oh man, this guy's here. This guy tries to cut. He tries to do all this stuff. So that guy rolls up and he was just a total anxiety attack. He's like tapping his foot, looking at his watch, grinding the seller. Hey, are you going to open early? Are you going to open early? And then he was all impatient. Then he took out his phone and he started taking pictures of everybody, especially the people selling. And he was running the people through Google Lens. And he's like, oh man, these people that are in charge of this estate sale have an eBay page. They're selling stuff for extremely premium prices. They know what shit's worth. And then he kept getting more impatient and he's just tapping his foot and looking at his watch and looking at his phone. Like the anxiety was intense with this guy. And finally he just got impatient and left. So the stuff there was pretty incredible, but it was way out of my price range. So I mean, he wanted, you know, a lot, you know, boxes of used capacitors, $500. All those capacitors in the little manila envelopes, those picofarad mica caps. He wants $500 for all of those. And yes, those things are expensive. If you go on DigiKey and buy like an 82 picofarad 5% mica cap, it's $6 or $7 today. And he's like, man, I just want to get this stuff out of here. And I made him an offer. I mean, offered him like $100 for all that stuff. And which, you know, I mean, realistically, how much of it am I ever going to use? Use it while doing silver mica disease, whatever. So then the real kicker for me was I bought the jig. The guy gave me a good deal on the jig. And then another guy that was working there went to load it in the truck and necked it. Destroyed it, broke the freaking neck off of it. So that really just ruined my mood. You know how long I've been working on TVs? I've been working on TVs since 1993, no, earlier than that. I was working on TVs when I was in middle school. So the 80s, the late 80s. And you know, I have never necked a CRT unintentionally. Never. So, unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, that just kind of left me speechless. And then, yeah, the prices were just an absolute premium. But I did get the CBS TV that a fellow collector sent me out to get. I don't look at estate sales. I intentionally sort of ignore estate sales because I don't like the competition. I don't like the flippers. I don't like the anxiety and the attitudes and the pushing and the shoving. It's like, dude, man, I just am not, that's just not me. So I avoid estate sales. So he found it. He asked me to do him a favor and come out and get it. I picked stuff up for him before. He's a good guy, no problem. And we're going to do a video, 1 or 2 at least, on that TV. So anyway, the human experience was pretty brutal and the pricing was pretty brutal. I mean, I'm probably going to crash. I'm probably going to have an adrenaline crash. And the amount of stuff was just overload. I mean, the amount of stuff packed in that garage, holy crap, man. You're trying to get that, all that stuff's going to end up going in a big roll-off. What a waste. You know? I mean, the amount of stuff there was just totally excessive, and it looked like the guy had been pulling parts out of sets for 100 years and putting them in storage. Anyway, sorting them out and putting them in storage. But again, some of those red drop capacitors, they could be paper, they could be Mylar, and I'm still recording this in 60 frames per second. It's ridiculous. I recorded the thing in 60 frames per second because there was a lot of motion. I knew I was going to be moving around a lot. Anyway, estate sale that was a pretty miserable experience. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know if I did.